Hello friends, my name is Katie Sky. I am back. This is not my new apartment. I don't think I've ever filmed a video in this apartment. I moved here in February of 2021 and now it is April 2022. I'm coming back in front of the camera because I was cleaning my apartment, organizing some stuff, and I picked the task of organizing my old journals, labeling them by time, and organizing them. And I found this journal that had I started writing in it with a fictional story. Thought I was gonna be like a huge cool author with this book. 2011, so I was in, I think, 7th grade when I wrote this. So I had maybe 15 pages of this fictional story, and then I started using it as a journal, and I just wanted to share with you. It's probably gonna be kind of cringy, but the main character's name is Amy, and she has a brother named Derek. Derek? Where did I get that? Who is Derek? I don't know. Maybe, remember that old, I think it was a Disney Channel show, a very short-lived show called Life with Derek, where the brother is named Derek. I don't know, but I wrote this, and it was meant to be a kind of parallel for what I was experiencing in my life. I used a lot of inspiration. So I haven't touched this. Let's look at it. Let's read it. Okay. February 12th, 2011. Amy reached over and slammed on the snooze button of her alarm clock. She pulled the covers over her head and mumbled to herself, "Here we go again. Another day in school, another day slaving away with chores and homework, another day being Amy." She dozed for a while until the alarm rang again. Moaning, she dragged herself out of bed and put her feet on the floor. As she started to walk, she swayed and almost lost her balance. She walked downstairs for food. Amy's younger brother, Derek, was already at the table chewing on a waffle. "Morning, sport," she greeted him. He didn't even look up. Amy didn't know why, but she called Derek whatever name came into her head at the time. Kiddo, sport, tiny, or even a headache. Okay. She fixed herself a bagel with cream cheese and jelly. Today, Amy felt like eating in her room, so she went upstairs and ate on her bed. In the other room, she heard her dad sneeze twice and then cough. My brother always sneezes twice. He always, achoo, achoo. In the other room, she heard her dad sneeze twice and then cough. He always did that when he woke up. He walked downstairs and talked with Derek about something. Amy could only hear muffled voices, but she could make out some words. Hockey, school, grades, homework. Amy filled her backpack with her books and got dressed. After that, she brushed her teeth and fixed her hair before taking her backpack and walking with Derek to the bus stop. Amy noticed that Derek was looking at a bruise on his arm. "Did some freak give you that at the hockey game last night?" she asked. He nodded and looked away, embarrassed that she had noticed. "It'll heal soon. Don't worry about it." "Whatever." He seemed to be more grumpy than usual today. The bus arrived. Amy had a best friend, Riley. She sat down next to her and greeted her. Everything that Amy said, Riley replied with a, This was the morning, Riley. During the day, she was very energetic. Amy chuckled every time she thought about it, but she hated the bus. It was way too noisy. Boys were always shouting about stupid stuff. It always annoyed Amy. When they got to school, so that was on one day. That was April 11th, April 12th, and then I dated it. This is another page from April 13th. When they got to school, it was the same as yesterday. They went to their lockers and prepared for their first class. Then the classes started, and Amy sleepishly went through each of them. Relatable. She liked how quickly the classes went when she was sleepy, but today she wished she wasn't. She'd wished she wasn't. I don't know if that's a grammar error. Before she knew it, the time came to go home. On the bus, Riley wouldn't stop talking about her science grade. 100. I aced it, Amy. Can you believe it? Science. Can you believe it? Wow. There were some moments where Riley acted like a 9-year-old. Derek and Amy stepped off the bus and started walking home. "What did you learn in school today?" she asked. Algebra and math, fungus and science, linking verbs in English, Derek replied. I hated fungi when I was in 6th grade, Amy added. I don't like it either, Derek answered, with a disgusted look on his face. It's kind of gross. They crossed the street and turned the corner. While they waited for Mom to come home, they played baseball. It was a bit difficult playing with 2 people. The batter had to throw the ball back to the pitcher. There was no catcher. And the pitcher had to try and get the runner out. They kept score by themselves. Derek won again. Mom pulled into the driveway. Hey, kiddies, how was school? Every day Mom greeted them that way. Derek ran to her and gave her a big hug. It was great, Mom. We learned about fungi in science. In science. That's a weird topic to learn about, said Mom with a half smile on. What about you, Amy? Amy rolled her eyes and replied, Same as always, Mom. Mom nodded and walked Derek inside. Your father will be home late today, Mom told the kids. Why don't you 2 find something to do? Derek and Amy knew what that meant. They went upstairs. Derek did his homework and Amy did her chores. First, she cleaned the toilet. Then she mowed the lawn. Don't boys usually do that? Okay, anyway. After that, it was upstairs to help Derek with his math. So, you have to remember to combine the like terms, she concluded. I get it now. Thanks, Amy. By the way, what's the most disgusting fungi you're learning about? Amy just had to ask. Corn smut, for sure. Our teacher loves it for some wacko reason. I hated rhizopus. Corn smut's gross, too. I think Mrs. Clendale feeds on our disgust, Derek said with a chuckle. Amy laughed and nodded her head. Well, I've got homework to do. Keep working on that algebra. Amy only had a bit of homework, but she had to study for the test next week. History was her worst subject. The test was going to be so difficult. She fell asleep with the book on her chest. That was April 14th. She wrote these 2 pages. The next morning, her alarm clock didn't go off. She was dreaming that her history teacher was pointing at her and saying, You'll be sorry. And then she started laughing maniacally. Amy sat up in bed, wide awake. Her book fell onto the floor. Shoot, she moaned. It was 7:30. She ran downstairs to see that Dad was with Derek. They were eating cinnamon waffles, Amy's favorite. Dad pointed to the toaster. Next to it was 2 waffles made for Amy. Thanks, Dad, Amy said with a grin. She took them to her seat and started eating. You're in a good mood, Dad nodded and replied. I was late to get home last night because I was picking out a box of chocolates for us. Their eyes widened and Derek said, Can we eat them now? Derek and Amy both shook their heads. No, Dad and Amy both shook their heads. Derek lowered his head with a disappointed look. Their day at school was the same as the day before. When they got home, Derek suggested playing soccer. Amy hesitated, but she agreed. They took turns being goalie and kicker. Amy was surprised to learn that she was great at it. She won by 8 points. Mom pulled in and greeted them. Hey, kiddies, how was school? They didn't answer, but they told her that Dad had a surprise planned. I think technically that is an answer. Okay, and not answering the question, but okay, Dad had a surprise planned. They were all so excited. For some reason, Derek flipped on some rock music, and they all danced right there in the kitchen. Amy liked that moment. After that, Derek challenged Amy to a rematch in soccer. It was Wednesday, and she was in a good mood. They played again. It was a tougher game, but Amy won again. This is good, she thought. I'm good at a sport. Wow. When Dad came home, they shared the chocolates. It was no surprise to Amy and Derek, of course, but they enjoyed it so much. It was a family moment. After the chocolates were gone, everyone hugged Dad as if he were a superhero. He was, ... to Amy. This was the best day ever. April 15th. The next day at school, Amy got an excited look from Riley. She gave her a face that said, Go ahead, ask me. Amy asked, and Riley replied, I'm having a get-together this weekend at Lasertron. You like that, right? Of course. When? Saturday, 4 o'clock. She handed her an invitation. I'll be there, said Amy. They went to first period. Math wasn't fun that day because the teacher was in a bad mood. He was upset because his favorite football team had lost. It didn't happen often, but when it did, it wasn't good. He didn't smile or laugh, and he gave them lots of homework. But because they finished early, he let them start it. The next period was history. Today they were reviewing the War of 1812. Amy already learned about that in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. But they always learned about it again. Amy's history teacher was so excited about history. When she talked about it, her face always lit up with fascination. She always explained it so thoroughly. This helped the students when it came to the tests. All they had to do was try and remember the teacher telling them about that topic. That was all they had to do. After class, Amy talked to the teacher about the test. She said to Amy, Amy, you are a girl with much potential. This test won't be hard. Next was science class. Mrs. Clendale told the class that they'd be having a pop quiz on the table of elements today. Amy was prepared for this one. She took that quiz with ease. After science was study skills. Coincidentally, they learned ways to study for tests. After science was study skills. Oh, study skills. That's like, we had that in middle school. Coincidentally, they learned ways to study for tests. Amy immediately wrote in her planner that she needed flashcards. She'd work on them after school. The rest of the day was pretty mellow. Then Derek and Amy went home. Riley and Amy both worked on their math homework on the bus. They got halfway through it. Then Amy and Derek went home. Why don't we play baseball today? Derek said. Amy knew she'd lose, but she wanted to please her brother. So she agreed. The game was actually pretty close. They had to go into extra innings, but Derek found some hidden energy inside of himself and dove to home plate. See? Amy knew she'd lose, but she didn't complain. She didn't really care about winning. She just needed something to do. Mom pulled in and greeted them, same as always. They went inside, and the kids did their homework. Amy didn't have any chores today. Amy began to feel a bit bored, which shocked her. She was never bored. She had nothing to do. She thought for a while. Then she went to her desk and dug out an old harmonica. Her grandmother gave it to her when she was small. She loved music. Amy played with an old organ at her grandma's house whenever she could. Grandma Faye, that's actually my father's mother is Faye. So Grandma Faye taught her simple songs on the organ, and she danced as Amy played. Amy smiled, wrapped up in the memories. It was too bad Grandma wasn't here anymore. She blew the harmonica. She loved the way it vibrated in her hands. She played and played. She went on for a half hour before she stopped. It was dark out, so Amy got ready for bed. She said goodnight to Derek and went to sleep. April 24th. Amy woke up the next day and said to herself, "It's Friday, the busiest day of the week." Then she picked up her teddy bear and said, "Don't you think so? Everything is crammed into Friday. Quizzes, band lessons, you name it. It's all going to happen today." Amy got that bear 3 years ago in 5th grade. Riley had went with her to an amusement park. They were having so much fun when Amy won that bear at a ring toss game. His name was Teddy, but sometimes she called him Theodore. It was because she learned that the teddy bear was named after Theodore Roosevelt. Just so happens that on the floor here, he came with me to my new apartment. This is Teddy. I've had him since 5th, 6th grade, and now I'm 24 and he's still in my apartment. His foot pajamas kind of broke off and I don't really sleep with him, but he's still with me. This is Teddy. Here he is. She set him down on the bed. At breakfast, Amy told Dad that she was going to laser tag Tron tomorrow. Dad approved, but he warned her not to hurt anyone. "They're not real lasers, Dad. We just wear vests, and if the gun's light hits them, the vest beeps. Then we're out," Amy reassured her father. Dad's face turned really red, and he made his oops face. "Okay, as long as no one gets hurt." Derek and Amy smiled. After school, the kids played with their laser guns. They put on these belts with the green light on it. They picked up their guns and practiced their aim. One player would run around a corner, and the other one would shoot the belt. If the light on the belt turned red, the runner was shot. Mom came home. The kids got on their bikes and went for a ride. They went to the baseball diamond, and Derek helped Amy with her baseball skills. "Just find the spot where the ball's gonna go, keep your eye on that spot, and swing the bat through that spot." Pretty sure that's not actually how it works. I mean, I get it. You follow it and then yeah, okay. Amy felt a little silly getting advice from her little brother. But with that advice, she hit the ball to the fence. Then her brother taught her how to stomp her feet into the ground to get a better grip with her shoes. Okay. April 26th. After that, the kids got on their bikes and rode home. Then they worked on their homework. Today, Amy's chores weren't so bad. She only had to clean the windows and dust her father's bookshelf. It seems like in these stories, I'm just like thinking of something to fill in the gaps with. I'm like, okay, so she's gonna do chores. I don't know, dusting and, just, it feels like I'm just thinking of something. He never really read those books. He just liked to have them there to add some nice looks to his office. As Amy was dusting, she found that Dad had quite few books about the War of 1812. Amy had a history test next week, so she took the books into her room and started flipping through the pages. She got sleepy and fell asleep. It was 7:30. It was a good thing because she would have a lot of energy for Lasertron tomorrow. Amy started to dream. She was on a farm with Riley at night. They were playing their laser guns when an alien spaceship lifted them high into the air. Next, they were in the ship. They had their guns, so they had to zap the aliens and get to the control room. They took out the captain and set the ship to self-destruct. 20 seconds! They jumped out, and their parachutes opened. Down they floated while the ship exploded. They landed on Amy's lawn and had a sleepover. Crazy night. So that was her dream. Okay. The next morning, Amy woke up late, later than she'd ever woken up. At 10:37, she won the Sleepyhead Award. That was an award given to the person in the family who slept in the latest. Everybody else was in the living room watching TV, so Amy joined them. She soon got bored with the news and went into her room to work on her flashcard. As her teacher had taught her, she wrote the questions on one side and the answers on the other. Then she used the cards to quiz herself on the material. Amy used to play video games that involved shooting aliens with futuristic guns. That's Halo. So that's where she developed her interest in Lasertron. She became very skilled with a laser gun, but didn't get many chances to prove it. Every once in a while, a friend had a birthday party at the Lasertron place. Sometimes it would be one of Derek's friends who invited both of them. Amy was always victorious. At 3:30, Amy left with her mom to go to the Lasertron place. When she got there, Riley was at the door with most of the girls in her class. Oh no, Amy thought. Emily's here. Ugh, I hope she's not on my team. Emily used to be Amy's BFF, but in 6th grade she became very mean. She was always so snotty to Amy, and she ignored her a lot. She got a new best friend, Juliana. Those two did everything together. Sometimes Amy would hear Emily whisper something to Juliana that started with, "Amy is," and then they would both giggle. After Riley greeted Amy, they went into the Lasertron room and put their vests on. Then they picked up their guns and went inside. The course was like a maze. The two teams started on different sides and tried to find each other. Emily and Juliana were both on the blue team with the 3 other girls. Riley was with Amy on the red team. Within the maze, there are little windows to spot the other team. Amy knew how to use these windows. She waited, looking through the window. When an enemy turned the corner, bam! They wouldn't see it coming. She waited and waited. She heard whispers nearby. Could it be the blue team? Amy held up her gun and prepared to fire. There! It was Emily, with Juliana close behind her. Bam! Amy fired at them both. She heard the vests beep and saw them blinking. Startled, the girls started running. Amy got up and ran after them. She wouldn't stop until she had taken at least 35 points from the blue team. She kept on hitting their vests over and over. Her aim was so accurate, even when she was running. Then the girls turned a corner and Amy lost them. She yelled to her team, "Over here! Riley, follow my voice!" She kept searching until she heard lasers firing. She ran towards the sound and saw her teammates shooting at the blue team. She joined the battle and gave it all she had. The sounds of the laser guns were so loud, but then they stopped firing, which meant that the game was over. After that, the girls went into the... Whoa, I have a date here. May 1st, so what was this? It was quite a few days that I went between writing. After that, the girls went to the arcade. The games weren't so great, except for Pac-Man. Amy was the best at this game. In fact, even Riley couldn't beat her score of 42,000 points. Amy knew there were people out there who could beat her, but she was still proud. What happened next shocked Amy. Emily apologized to her for being so mean to her. I know we used to be friends, and I want to make up. I realize how much I've hurt you in the past 2 years, she said. Please forgive me so we can be friends again. At first, Amy stood there with raised eyebrows, pondering about what Emily had just said. Then she said, I forgive you. There's nothing to feel bad about anymore. Emily looked as if she would cry, but she always did. Her eyes always seemed really wet, as if she was crying. The two girls shook hands and continued going into the arcade, gaming in the arcade. You just know that was like wishful thinking for a real life girl in my life. Most girls have, they have a best friend, and then in whatever years they kind of drift apart, and that was just me hoping that the real life girl would come back and say, I'm sorry, and we would just become best friends again. Now it was 5:30. All of the girls called their parents and went home. On Monday, Amy asked Riley why she had invited Emily. Riley said that her mom told her to. Actually, I have to thank you, because she and I made up, Amy said. Oh, that's good, Riley replied. Which team won, anyway? The red team, Riley smiled. When Derek and Amy got home, they were surprised to see both of their parents home. Mom looked like she had been crying. She did not greet them the same as always. Dad motioned for them to sit. Your father has been laid off from work, Mom said. The next few days were rough in school. Emily was always crying as if she felt sorry for Amy. Riley wouldn't talk to her anymore. She once started crying, which surprised Emily. Riley was always tough. She'd never cry or get upset until now. Everyone always seemed so sad. What was Amy going to do? Was Dad going to get a new job? Was Mom going to work double shifts? What was going to happen? Day after day, school was gloomy. The sun was never out. It was always raining. Riley wasn't energetic and happy anymore. Everyone seemed to have given up. Worst of all was computer class. The teacher was really skilled with computers, so when a student made a mistake, she'd get really frustrated. This bothered Amy so much. In computer class, she always felt like she was incompetent and stupid. Technology wasn't one of Amy's interests. So was that a good reason for the teacher to get angry? Certainly not. Great. Now it seemed that Amy's life was ruined. Okay, so on May 5th, I wrote the thing about computer class, and then on June 7th, I wrote the next part. Great. Now it seemed that Amy's life was ruined. She knew that it would get better, but she still felt very upset. It was awful. School was going terribly, and Derek was also in a bad mood. Amy would do anything to make things better. Saturday morning, Amy loved Saturday mornings. She could sleep in and stay in her pajamas all day. No school, nothing to do all day long, just a TV and a little brother to play with. Well, this Saturday was different. Amy hadn't gotten much sleep because she had stayed up late worrying about what would happen next. She had slept late, but she got up in a hurry. She ate her breakfast and got dressed because she needed to do something about this sadness that had taken over the entire family. She woke up Derek and they played baseball. It was cloudy, but they played an entire game. Derek wasn't into this game anymore, but Amy wouldn't give up. She asked him to play video games with her, so they played Modern Warfare 2. Amy had absolutely no idea what to do, but she would do anything to make Derek happy again. She let him win, and he seemed to cheer up a bit. This was a good thing, so now Amy had to cheer up her parents. Why don't we go get lunch at Subway? She asked Mom and Dad. They looked at her for a few seconds, then continued watching TV. Oh, come on, you need to get out of the house today. The kid is telling the parents. Oh, come on, you need to get out of the house today. They considered and then nodded, and Mom grabbed the keys. So they came home with lunch and ate. Everyone felt better, even Mom and Dad. Mission accomplished. Amy found herself getting bored, so she called Riley. They talked and talked for a while. Riley told Amy that she was sad because her boyfriend broke up with her. She was saying how he had been mean to her and how he broke up with her in such a harsh way. Ry, I don't think you two were a couple anyways, so it's not that much of a loss, okay? Don't get upset about it. Amy said to her. After that conversation, Amy watched TV for the rest of the day. I'm sorry. And then she went to bed. The next morning, Amy's family went to Mass and afterwards got donuts at Tim Hortons. Then it was time for the kids to finish their homework and study. June 15th. The next day in school, Riley was really upset. She was freakishly quiet, and she didn't even look at Amy. This was really bad. Amy got the hint that she didn't want to talk, but she noticed something. On her wrist was a cut. Oh no, Riley. Amy ran to her and said, No, Ry, please don't cut yourself. That won't help at all. Riley walked away, and Amy made the decision to tell the teacher. At the end of class, she told Mrs. Clendale, who called Riley's parents after school. So now Amy thought she'd better give Riley her space. She was obviously hurting badly. So Amy kept to herself. It's not... Yeah, this is a parallel to, like, yeah, I self-injured in middle school, in 8th grade, just a little bit. So I'm guessing that's what I'm putting in here. So Amy kept to herself. After a week or two, she saw a small smile appear on Riley's face. So maybe she was better. Hopefully. So more good news came. Well, it started out as good news. Dad had found a new job. The bad news was that it was over 200 miles away. Amy would have to move away from her friends, her school, and her favorite house in the whole wide world. Oh, okay. July 17th. Amy started to worry because at the new house, she wouldn't have Riley, and without her, life would be so difficult. Riley was... was this... It seemed like a teeny tiny writing here. Is that... Okay. And without her, life would be so difficult. Riley was the only one who had been there for her when no one else was. And now Amy was going to have to live without her. They would still be able to chat with each other on the internet, but it wouldn't be the same. So Amy decided to spend more time with Riley. She invited her over, but she was always busy. Then Riley didn't come to a party that all the girls were having. This troubled Amy, for she felt like Riley was avoiding her. So one day, at the end of the school day, Amy tried to talk to Riley and ask her what was going on. She tried her best to be gentle about it. She said, Riley, can you please tell me why you haven't been hanging out with me? After a long pause, Riley replied with a sad look, Amy, we shouldn't be friends. Amy was so confused, and all she could say was, Why? Did I do something? What is it? Is it something I did? Riley's voice began to break, and all she said to reply was, I'm sorry, Amy. Goodbye. Amy let her walk away because she was so hurt and confused. Now she felt very lonely and sad. So then Mom planned a party for Amy. All the girls in her class would come, and it would be a fun time with her friends. Amy tried to cheer up. This was the last time she would see the girls, so she did everything she could to be happy. And when the day of the party arrived, Amy's classmates were so sad because she was moving away. They'd never really showed they cared before, but now that Amy was leaving, they were upset. They had a lot of fun as they... And is that literally it? That's literally it. That's the end of the... That's it. They had a lot of fun as they... Okay. And then on... this sat in my desk drawer for a long time. And then March of 2014, I said, okay, so new plan. This is now a journal. Hello, journal. Nice to meet you. I look forward to our companionship. So that's my story about Amy and Derek and her family, and it was like a parallel to what was happening in my life. I have a little brother named Joe, so Joe equals Derek. Emily and Juliana are two girls in real life. The girl who I refer to as E in my It Gets Better video, that's Emily. I don't know, I really thought this would be a cool story. I really thought I I just started writing, and I thought it would be the coolest thing. I remember I gave it to my English teacher, the one who wasn't really good to me during the drama in 8th grade. Wasn't really like on my side. Anyway, and she would like leave little feedback of, oh, it's very descriptive, or yeah, I just wanted to share that. That is it. That is my fictional story that I started writing in 7th grade. Thanks for listening. Hope you're doing well. I'm filming this on a new phone, and it has more space, and it has a it's something this is an Android, and there's an app that's similar to iMovie. I'm gonna edit on that. So thanks for watching. I hope you're all doing well. Take care of yourselves. Stay happy, healthy, and hydrated. And I will see you in the next video. Maybe I'll do some music videos and stuff. Alright, thank you. And I'll see you soon. Bye.